and welcome to the second Climate Restoration Community Update of 2026, the second one since we launched our 25-year mission to restore the climate by 2050. We had a great event in January, and since then we've been hard at work building the teams, creating the plans and the roadmaps, and working on securing the funding. There's a short video, about 4 minutes, that recaps the launch and the few months that came before it. Let's watch this video.
Starting today and for the next 25 years, we will be living in a new reality. We are restoring the climate by 2050.
We are the future generations. We do not vote, so governments don't prioritize us. We do not pay taxes, so we are not in the budget. We do not buy products, so corporations ignore us. But you, our parents, our grandparents, our aunts and uncles, you have the power now. You are writing the story we will be born into. Will it be a world of chaos and collapse, or one of restoration, beauty, and life? We ask you to be bold, to stand up for us when no one else will, to make the choices today that will give us a tomorrow. Join the Climate Restoration Alliance. Sign the Climate Restoration Resolution. Fund the projects that restore the climate. Speak for us until we can speak for ourselves.
We are writing the story they will be born into. My name is Ilan Mandel. I will be your Climate Restoration Central Coordinator.
There's about 1,000 gigatons, so 1,000 billion tons, too much carbon dioxide in our atmosphere.
Financial losses from storms is about $200 billion a year.
We can solve this crisis. We know how to. Will we? That's up to you.
I'm committed to, and my passion is to have Rotary International take on climate restoration as its next global mission.
You are creating history and the future right now.
You know, we've been like this very small group of people, 4 or 5 people, and now we need more people.
And it's just like when you do something beautiful, people come and say, can I play? I want to be a part of it.
Localized ocean fertilization is a specialization of that for the whole planet to remove 60 billion tons a year, which is what we need to deliver our promise of restoring a safe CO2 level by 2050, about $1 billion a year. We can do that.
Boy, it sure looks really, really doable to me.
The Total Bamboo Project is not just a project in Togo, because all of us in the entire world are restoring the climate together. Thank you very much.
I'm amazed at what I've heard, and I'm very excited.
This is the most important meeting I have ever attended in my life.
Thank you for the opportunity to play in the big leagues.
It's unbelievable how big an opportunity there is to quickly grow, this movement.
Well, I like exactly what the plan is.
Oh my gosh, no. We have an opportunity here that is stellar.
Go with this new project. Go, go.
Okay, so we launched the 25-year mission to restore the climate. We're 2026, around 428 ppm. We expect the level of CO2 to continue to rise as we scale up our climate restoration industry. And if everything goes well, by 2030 or a few years later, we're going to see the levels of CO2 decline. The cost for this is completely affordable. We're estimating it's going to take about $1 billion a year to restore the climate. We don't need that kind of money right now. This year, we're probably going to need millions of dollars. Next year, tens of millions of dollars to complete the technology development and be ready to scale. But that is very affordable. It translates to less than 1 cent per US person per day. And as you can see, much less than Apple's marketing budget for a year or the NYC sanitation department budget. Our main climate restoration pathway is localized ocean fertilization. I think everybody here knows what it is, so we're not going to get into the details today. There's a lot of work that's being done behind the scenes on developing LOF, working towards the pilot projects and the equipment and the measurement and the certification and so on. We'll provide more updates on that in future webinars. This is our timeline, right? We say that the next 5 years are going to determine the next 500. And so that is going to be our focus to scale up climate restoration by the end of the decade. And when we talk about scale up, we're talking about approximately 50 localized ocean fertilization sites around the world, approximately 500,000, 500,000 tons of iron per year, ecosystem being restored, and 60 gigatons of CO2 removed per year. That's what we call full scale. And so the focus is on the next 5 years. And as we announced, we're going to take the first 6 months. We're taking the first 6 months of 2026 to build the teams, the roadmaps, the plans, and the funding that we need. In the middle of that process, in April 2021, around Earth Day, there's going to be a climate restoration summit in EarthX in Dallas, Texas. We're planning to have a meaningful representation there, and we'll share more details in future communications. If you remember, we spoke about 6 teams over the course of the last couple of months. We've refined it to 3 major pillars or engines. The first one is climate restoration pathways, the methods to remove CO2 from the atmosphere, and we're very familiar with our main climate restoration pathway, which is localized ocean fertilization. But in order to include everybody, we're going to include other CO2 sequestration methods like seaweed and biochar and bamboo and so on, so that we have a very broad movement. Millions of people that are working together to restore the climate. The second engine, we call it industry and finance. And again, these names might shift. It's about, if we talked about $1 billion a year to restore the climate, right? So this is how we take that money and convert that into impact, into projects, into ships that are going out into the ocean, and so on. And the third engine is the global campaign, and that's going to be the focus of our meeting today. The meeting today is slightly different. In the past, we used to have a 90-minute session. This is going to be a 60-minute session. So the presentation is going to be a little shorter. And we're going to have a little working session where everybody can participate and be a part of designing our goals and targets for the global campaign. So these are our goals for the global campaign. We've announced it last month. Judy, would you like to present that?
Sure. Just this year, by the end of 2026, we want to have 1 million people engaged, 100 organizations that adopt our mission. So we're working on partnerships to make that happen. And then 100 ambassadors. We currently have 30, kind of going up to about 38 with people in various stages of doing their ambassador work. And we want to have those 100 ambassadors, though, covering 25 countries, all major religions, major indigenous tribes, major industries, and then special groups like we have an ambassador that has quite a following of women all over the globe, but also young people, teachers, groups like that, Rotary International. And then by 2030, which would be the end of 5 years then, to have 1 billion people engaged, 10,000 organizations that adopt our mission, 10,000 ambassadors, again, covering everything that we just talked about.
Very good. Thank you very much. So these are the goals that we've announced last month. And since then, we've been developing the roadmaps and the strategies and the plans on how to accomplish that. We know that in order to manage something, we need to measure it. And so part of the process that we're going to do today is share with you what we call the KPIs, the key performance indicators, those values that we need to measure over time to make sure that we're heading in the right direction, in this case, in the direction of achieving these goals. The process that we're going to see today is going to be a similar process to designing the roadmaps and the KPIs for LOF, for localized ocean fertilizations, for other climate restoration pathways for the industry and the finance. So eventually, we're going to have a dashboard that show us where we are, where we're going, how to get there. Are there any red flags? Do we have enough fuel in the tank? And so on. And so this is the first time that we're sharing this concept with our community. One of the key development that we're focused on is the climate restoration dashboards to allow all stakeholders to see the information that is relevant to them. And in this case, we're learning from nature, how nature keeps track of things that are happening over time using the rings of a tree. So we're working with a biomimicry professional to design these dashboards. And today we're going to learn about how they work. We've defined 13 KPIs, key performance indicators. These are the things that we want to measure over time to make sure that we're on the right track. The interactive session, the interactive part of this session begins now. I'm going to quickly go over it, right? There's a lot of information. So pay attention and listen to something that is either calling you or feels like there is something wrong or something missing that needs to be fine-tuned. And if you hear something like this, please raise your virtual hand. We'll have a short discussion. We're going to take about 15-20 minutes for this section, and by the end of which, hopefully, we're going to have a much better understanding of what we want to measure in the context of the global campaign to make sure that we're heading in the right direction. So the KPIs, the things that we're going to measure to know that we're heading in the right direction in terms of the global campaign are the number of organizations, the number of people, the number of governments, the number of countries, the number of religions, indigenous communities, number of ambassadors, special groups, corporate founders, total number of founders, which include corporate and non-corporate founders, monthly donors, social media followers, and the number of industries. There's going to be a little bit of work to define exactly what we measure, right? For example, with religions, it's very easy. We count the number of ambassadors, the number of faith ambassadors. Right now, we have one ambassador to a certain aspect of Judaism. We would like to have major religions and then all religions represented. Number of countries, right? It's very easy. The number of ambassadors, the number of countries that we have ambassadors in, or projects in, or relationship with the government, or a climate restoration center, and so on. So there's going to be a little bit of work defining exactly the formula to calculate these KPIs. But for now, I think we understand the concept, so let's dive in. And again, if anybody feels like they want to participate, they want to contribute, they have a question, or they think we need to change something, please raise your virtual hand. So for example, this circle in the middle shows us the baseline, right? This is the KPIs, the values that we started this 25 year mission with. So for example, we have two industries represented. We have the climate restoration ambassador to the cruise industry, and we have the climate restoration ambassador to the entertainment industry. So we started this mission with two industries, right? We have about 1,500 people that signed up to our newsletter and signed the pledge and so on, people with email addresses that we can communicate, that we can send the newsletter and invite to our events and so on, right? So this is our baseline. We have 0 governments that are engaged or committed to climate restoration, right? Obviously, we want to change that. Like Judy said, we have a total of 30 ambassadors and so on. We're going to go over the goals and the targets together in a minute. The next thing we did is design the targets for 2030, right? So that's where we want to be at the end of this 5-year campaign to scale up climate restoration. So what would the global campaign look like at full scale? We would like to have 10,000 organizations represented, engaged, sponsoring, and so on. We want to have 1 billion people, 100 governments, 200 countries represented, 10 religions, that's pretty much all major religions, 25 indigenous communities, 10,000 ambassadors, 100 special groups, right? Rotary, women, youth, African youth, healthcare professionals, and so on, 100 corporate founders, right? 100 corporate founders, each pledging $5,000, $25,000, $100,000 a year, a total of 1,000 founders, right? So that's where we want to be at the end of the 5 years. So this is what our dashboard is going to look like eventually. And again, this is like drawing inspiration from the rings of a tree, right? So this is our baseline. This is where we are today. This is what we're going to accomplish in 2026. So right now it's gray because we don't have the data yet. But what we do know is what our goals are for the end of the year, right? So we have the goals for each one of these indicators. So for example, if we end up with yellow for 2026 in religions, we know that we're on the right track because the actual result is in the same ballpark as our target. And so we have 2027, 28, 29, and 2030, and these are the goals we want to end up in 5 years. So before I move forward, and then we'll do a little bit of work together, are there any comments or questions? I'll take about 2-3 people just to see if there's any initial reactions or comments or questions about this structure. Please raise your virtual hand if you have them. Okay, so let me ask a different question. If you understand what was presented, please raise your real hand. Okay, very good. I assume that everybody without video also raised their. Thank you, Carol. Very good. Okay, good. So this is
Okay, Ilan, one question from John.
Oh,
German.
yes. Please, John. John, do you have a question? If you want, you can unmute yourself.
Yes. For each of those, like, for example, governments or corporations, what about targets rather than just simple numbers of them? How do you take those into account? Priorities.
So let me just make sure I understand, right? Instead of just looking at the number of governments, are you saying we need to think about which governments we want to engage with?
Well, for each of them, governments, corporations, etc. There's some that I think people on this call would say are clearly more important to engage earlier than others.
Yes, absolutely. So this is not part of that presentation. We're not there yet. Right now, we're just creating the framework, and then once we agree on what we want to measure, and once we agree on what the goals are, then we're going to break it down to exactly answer those questions. What kind of corporations we want to engage with? Who are the countries that are most relevant? What faith we want to engage first and second and third, right? We have 5 years. And so we need to develop the roadmap for each one of those KPIs and build the teams to accomplish them. We have a lot of work in front of us, and you didn't see Judy say in the video, but one thing that she said is we need more people. And so a part of this community update is also an invitation to step in. We're now going to build the teams. We're going to need probably dozens of people to run this campaign, and then team leaders to manage teams and so on. So if you're feeling cold, if this is something that you have experience with, please write your name in the chat and let us know how you can help, or reach out to myself, to Judy, to Brian. John is not here with us; he couldn't make it. But these are the kind of the people that are holding, Chuck Tomaselli also, that are holding that space to create the global campaign.
I think, Elon, one of the things I would suggest is that if, from John's comment, if there just things are coming up that you want to make suggestions that we can capture and hold, I'd be happy to do that. If you just have ideas that come up and you're afraid you'll forget about it if you don't put it down now, that would be fine.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for that, Judy. You always have such good comments. Yes. So that's part of it, right? This process, right? The next thing we're going to go over is the KPIs themselves, right? The numbers that we want to track. And then this will be an opportunity for you to say, yeah, I think we should engage with Uganda first, right? I have a friend in Ethiopia, or I want to reach out to my local church and get the Christian ambassador on board, right? So that would be an opportunity. Very good. Thank you, Judy. So this is the initial draft, right, of the KPIs, of the targets for the next 5 years, per indicator. Right, so I want to remind you that this is the baseline. This is where we are now. This is our target for the end of this year. And then these are the targets for the following years, going all the way to our goal in 2030. So in terms of number of organizations, right, in 2026, we want to increase the number from 30 to 100. And again, I'm inviting you to unmute yourself, open the videos. If you have something to say, if you think we should, go after this organization or that organization, so on, you can write it in the chat. That's exactly why we're doing this, co-creation session. So that's the goal for 2026. How do we get organizations in, right? Organization can sign the resolution. They can become a corporate sponsor. They can become a corporate ambassador, right? So all of these are different ways for organizations to engage in our global movement. And we want to get to 100 by the end of the year. I think that's totally doable. Our target for 2030 is 10,000. And so the goal is to get to 1,000, right? So 10 times what we did in 26, and then 2,500, 6,000, and 10,000. Any thoughts or comments about organizations before we move on? Very good. People, right? So we have about 1,500, roughly. Okay, Chris, you have a question, comment? Yeah, please unmute.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're scanning people. I'll wait till you get to governments.
Oh, governments. Okay, good. So people, we have about 1,500, roughly. We haven't even done the exact count, our mailing list, our pledges, and so on. But obviously, we need many, many more people engaged. So we want to get to 1 million people by the end of this year. How do we do that? Brian has a lot of experience around that, and I'm sure he's gonna have some things to say further down this session. But we talked about ideas like Climate Week in San Francisco, organize a global walk for climate, right? Where everybody kind of organizes their own events wherever they are, and there is some sort of an aggregation. Joining up with other events and conferences and so on, social media, online marketing, webinars, and so on and so forth, right? So that's a very ambitious goal. And I assume that if we get to the first milestone, we'll be well on our way to get to our target in 2030. Governments. So we have no government right now that is officially engaged or committed to climate restoration. The closest we got to a conversation with government is the government of Togo around the Togo Bamboo Project and the Climate Restoration Center. But we want to get to at least one government in 2026, and I have a feeling that Chris knows exactly which government we want to approach. What do you say, Chris?
You mean Finland?
Sorry?
You're talking about Finland? Finland?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know the answer. I thought you know.
Oh, I have thoughts.
Okay, let's hear them.
Okay, well, Finland. I was reading up a couple of days ago about they have a similar endeavor going on where they are working on some sort of mass carbon sink undersea carbon collection operation that they're doing on a massive scale in the North Sea, and they're working. It's kind of coinciding with that North Atlantic European wind farm that they're building, the infrastructure that they're building right now. So they're doing something similar. It's not OIF, but it's a similar concept that they're doing that has global implications on carbon emissions and
Interesting.
Trying to become carbon negative.
And Chris, you mentioned Bhutan, I think, in the last
Bhutan,
call. Bhutan is also a very interesting country. They're island nations that are literally, becoming underwater. Yeah, thank you very much, Chris, for that. Chuck?
Yeah, I think that Costa Rica would be a country that we could go on. I happen to have a friend who owns property there and lives there on and off here in the Utica area, so I could find out some information on it.
Very good, very good. So if you want to write in the chat the country that you think is going to be the first country, the first government to commit to climate restoration, we can have a little friendly bet here, not for money, maybe for carbon credits. So let's move on, right? So governments, we're starting with 0. We want to get to 100. In terms of countries, we have 7 countries represented right now. That is not counting different states in the US. We want to get to 25 by the end of the year, and then 200 by the end of the decade. Chuck and Chris. Chuck, why don't you go first? Unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't lower my hand.
Okay. All right. Chris the same. Okay, very good. So again, if you see anything that jumps to you, if if you're a friend of a prime minister and you say, I can get this conversation started, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, the most governments, I will say, have some form of Ministry of Environmental of the Environment or Sustainable Development. They have a cabinet level agency devoted to climate change, basically. And places like India, and Bhutan, and Finland, and other more, let's just say, evolved nations. Those would be the places where I would reach out to. I would make introductions first to their foreign offices, and then also make introductions to their whatever ministry of the environment or sustainable development or whatever agency that country has that deals with climate change.
Very
I mean,
good.
most
Chris-
countries do have some form of that.
Chris, I'm inviting you and everybody else, of course, to join the global campaign teams. We're going to have different teams that are figuring out how to accomplish these goals. Next one is religions, right? So right now, the only religion represented in our ambassador body is Judaism. I challenge everybody here to get at least one more religion, your own religion, if you want to bring. Could be somebody from the local church, or it could be the archbishop responsible for climate in the Vatican, right? So eventually we want to get to all of them, but let's take some baby steps, right? So if you're a practicing faith, any faith doesn't matter. At the end of the day, there is one God, one planet, one humanity, and our job is to be stewards of this creation. So I assume that with having the right kind of conversation, any religion would support climate restoration. Indigenous communities, again, this is something that we want to include in our conversation, the wisdom, the experience, the traditions, the knowledge. So we now have no indigenous ambassadors. I want to get to at least one in 2026 and 25 by the end of the decade. This is the KPI that represents the total number of ambassadors, which includes the faith ambassadors, indigenous country ambassadors, and so on. So we now have 30 and want to increase that number to 10,000. Chris, again. Did you?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, sorry.
Oh, okay. Very good. So special groups, right? So these are Rotary. We have very good engagement with Rotary that is just, growing. We have no conversation with other service organizations like the Lions and so on. If you're a member of these service organizations, let's see how we can bring them into the conversation. But not just that, any kind of special group, the climate restoration. I know that Chuck is an architect, right? Do we need a climate restoration ambassador to the architecture profession, to the engineering, to shipping, to, Hollywood? There's so many different special groups that we can approach. Yes, Chris, go ahead.
You're talking about, you haven't talked really about permitting yet, but you're going to want to get the UN involved as well. They're as far as getting permitting and permission to do this on a global scale. You're going to want to reach out to the UN, whatever part of the UN deals with climate change as well. They're going to want to be involved.
I assume that's correct. When we reach a certain scale, that may be a good idea. The next one is corporate founders. As you know, this is our focus right now in terms of our fundraising strategy. I don't know if we have Mark Biondi here with us. I don't see him, but we're going to say a few words about that in a second. And then this is the total number of founders, right? We have founders that are volunteering. We have founders that pledged money. We have corporate founders, and so on. We said that we estimate, right, that our founder circle would have 1,000 members, right? 1,000 people, organizations, and companies that will go down in the history books as those who restore the climate. So we have about 30 now, and we want to increase that number to 1,000. Monthly donors, obviously very important, both in terms of outreach and expression of commitment, but also in terms of making sure we have enough fuel in the tank to get the job done. So our goal is to get to 1 million monthly donors by the end of this decade. We have about 30 that are donating consistently every month. And this is an invitation. We're going to put the link in the chat in a minute. Yes, Chuck, go ahead. You're on mute again.
Actually, it goes back to a previous question. So in this matrix that you're putting together here, so when it comes to not all of the categories, but like countries, have you got the capabilities so that if you click on countries, you then find out what countries are represented? So that,
Yes.
as we grow, we know what countries would be available yet to contact, that sort of thing.
Absolutely, yes. If we go back to this, this is going to be interactive. So you're going to be able to click on each one of those and drill down and maybe even zoom in and see the goals on a month-by-month basis for the first year. Yeah, this is going to be
wonderful,
all-inclusive. There's another interface that we're working on, which is different. Anybody recognize this planet? So that's another way to look at our impact and engagement, right? So, this is right now just a mock-up. This is not the real data, but this will show you all the ambassadors, all the climate restoration centers, all the countries, and so on. So you'll be able to visually see and also drill down into the data to see, the countries and who is active, right? If we want to reach out to an ambassador in a certain country, who is that ambassador, right? So the whole thing is going to be integrated into one interactive dashboard. Chris, go ahead.
Is all this data going to be accessible off of one platform, or are we going to be working off of like 5 different platforms?
Eventually, we want to have one dashboard, right? The climate restoration dashboard, where you can go and see all the relevant information in one place. Right now, it's like bits and pieces. We're putting it together on a shoestring budget. But I believe that once we demonstrate, right, the potential of this dashboard, we will also get the sufficient funding to develop it completely. Kirk, go ahead.
Yeah. So, sorry, I'm getting an echo here. Anyway, it's really hard to talk. How do I stop that?
We can hear you fine.
Okay, so I'm going to talk like this. I think another high leverage opportunity would be to have some sort of ambassadors to the media. And you got to think about it. These people in the media, they got a problem, and that is, what are they going to write about today? And perhaps the highest leverage one could be something like the New York Times, which has ongoing coverage about climate. And I think it would be wonderful to have a team that's focused just on that, and just reach out to them and comment and correct and add and nudge and nudge and nudge and nudge. So I'd be looking for a leader to step forward in that area, not me.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. We're running out of time. So let me quickly. So basically, you understand the structure here. Everybody is invited and welcome to be a part of designing this. Every number here needs to be thought about, how to define, how to measure, how to accomplish, what teams we need, and so on. So there's a lot of work. We're now at a month and a half into our 6 months process to build and design all of these dashboards and roadmaps and so on. So let's finish the presentation. Right, the next topic, like I said, is the corporate sponsorship. Over the last few months, we've reached out to a number of climate restoration founders requesting introductions to CEOs and business owners. We now have a very nice list, thanks to a few founders that stepped up. And Chuck, as usual, you're one of the stars. And Peter, thank you very much for that. And Kirk and many other people. So the request here is if you know of a CEO or a business owner, it doesn't have to be climate related. The requirement is that that CEO or business owner loves their children, right? That's a very low threshold. So we would love introductions to CEOs and business owners that could potentially become climate restoration corporate founders. What can you do to support the launch? Right, these are the usual things. Again, see if something comes up for you. Speak to a friend about our climate restoration mission. Sign the climate restoration pledge. Introduce us to a corporate leader or business owner who might support climate restoration. If you work for a company, ask them to consider supporting climate restoration. Join one of our teams as a volunteer or become a monthly supporter. If you're not a monthly donor yet, I invite you to do that. The amount doesn't matter. It's about the commitment, the expression of commitment. Again, we're going to put the link in the chat. On our website, there is a way for you to join our teams, either for the administrative organizational side or the Climate Restoration Alliance implementation teams. This is the link. You can go to the website about and volunteer with us. Yeah, well, I guess we have it twice. We're still looking for more champions and angels. We did match the OIF grant last year. And so we're kind of putting that on hold. We're going to pick this up again in a couple of months. Right now, our focus is on the corporate sponsorship. But again, if you're not a champion yet or an angel and you would like to become one, please let us know. And then the next events, Judy, I want to make sure that the next ambassador gathering is indeed March 12. Is that correct?
Well, we just switched everything to Wednesdays, so I guess it's March 11th.
March 11. Very good. So we're going to change it live, March 11. The next community update is March 19. And you can go register on the website. We'll have the link here as well. And then you're invited. Judy is hosting the Wednesday calls, and they're fascinating. It's an unstructured discussion, and people kind of bring their own stories and projects, and you're very much invited to join. Wednesdays, 8 a.m. or 11 a.m. EST, Eastern. So that is it for today. We have 8 minutes. And I would like to hear from you as part of the feedback if a 60-minute session is enough or is it too long, too short. So now everybody can open their cameras and microphones and raise your hand if you have any question or comment.
Elon, this is Lonnie Franks. I was going to comment that I think for a plenary session, an hour is sufficient, but I'd love to see additional meetings of working groups during the month. I'd be happy to work in some working groups, and we could figure out other things to do. But an hour-long plenary is probably sufficient in a month from my perspective.
Thank you very much, Lonnie. Thank you. And thank you for your willingness to help. Can you give us just a couple of words about your background and what you're doing these days?
I'm currently working for the Peace Museum in Dayton, Ohio, as the Director of Environmental and Climate Justice. I'm also working with 2 ocean groups. I'm a mathematician, so I help people write papers where the math is hard. One group is Ecopia Marine Limited that is hoping to light below the thermocline in the ocean to grow algae. And another is Greenlight BioOil that is trying to make biofuels from algae.
Very good. So I'm inviting you, Lonnie, to explore the possibility of the museum signing the Climate Restoration Pledge and becoming one of those organizations. So let's look into that, and we welcome your support. Anne Grace, would you like to say something?
So much. Thank you for the invitation. It's my first time to attend this meeting. I'm Andres Sakiteng from Uganda, and I've been working with climate groups since 2016. I'm a trained climate reality leader cop. Yes. So I was asking that is it okay if we can also engage or share this with those other climate groups? Because I think I subscribe to four or also different groups. And when we started the meeting, someone asked that how can we bring all these different groups that are working on restoration to work together to achieve the same goal. So I asked there and in the chat, and I was responded to. So thank you so much for this. Yes, thank you.
Very good, Anne. So thank you. Thank you for joining us. It's great to have you here. The answer is absolutely yes. We want to reach out to everybody, especially organizations and people who are concerned about the climate and want to create a world that works for future generations. So we will be in touch, Anne, and I think we'll have a few brainstorming sessions. And if you can join us, that'll be great, and would love to get your perspective. Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I put together a list of government agencies or departments or people or points of contact. But I was wondering what working group would should I be looking into joining, because I'm not really sure which group that falls under, what category that falls under.
Well, right now we have what we call the global campaign team, right? Brian just raised his hand. He's part of that team, and Judy and Chuck and John that isn't here, and I think a few other people. So like you didn't hear in the video that we didn't show, right? We need more people. So this session is focused on the global campaign team, and it sounds like, Chris, that's where you should be. And then from the global campaign team, I assume we're going to start creating working groups that will take specific topics, organizations, governments, religions, Rotary, right? Just to engage with Rotary takes probably a 4 or 5 people team. So we need more people. So look for that invitation, Chris, and join one of those meetings. Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, in terms of a working group, we have our climate our campaign team that meets by Zoom every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time and 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you contact or reach out to Judy, she can send you a link so that you can join our campaign working team, which meets weekly.
All right, Judy, can you put your email in the chat, please?
I did, and I also have captured each of yours who put your email in. So if there's someone else, I'll put my email back in the chat again.
Very good. So we have a couple of minutes before we reach the end of our session. Anybody else? Peter, anything you'd like to add? Ray, Harvey?
No, just everybody, thank you for participating. We've got a lot of work to do, and this is the way to get it started. I intend by the end of the year we'll have funding and professionals working on it too, but we need to lead for them. And thank you everybody for being here to lead.
I think this has been a great meeting, and I've put some suggestions in the chat like many people have. So I think it's been very productive.
Very good. Thank you very much, Ray. And I want to acknowledge Ray for working on the KPIs for localized ocean fertilization, right? We need the same kind of structure. So we'll move that forward as well.
And for those that may not know, a KPI is a key performance indicator.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Ray. Anybody else? We have 30 seconds.
I think this is great. And you can see how much energy there was in this little room with just like 20 or 20, less than 30 of us. You can imagine when we have thousands, a million people engaged in whatever they have to contribute.
Yes, yes, thank you, Julie. And I encourage each and every one of you, right, to consider stepping in deeper, right, being more active, more proactive, taking responsibilities, leading teams, leading projects, coming up with ideas. We need everybody, and not just everybody, to be here, but also to be active and contributing. Lika or Laika.
Hello. Nice to meet all of you. It was fascinating meeting. So I had such question. If we will be part of this global campaign team, I wondered, would it be possible to write maybe articles, informative articles or scientific articles, maybe blogging or lobbying team? Would it be possible maybe because I'm freelancing, a freelancer green journalist, so maybe I could assist you with this if it would be possible this way. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. This is exactly the kind of support that we're inviting, the kind of contribution. Each and every one of us knows how to do something. And just with a little bit of thinking, how do we apply that, whether it's writing, graphic design, facilitating teams and processes. We've never done this before as a species. And so we need everybody's perspective to figure this out. Very good. We're out of time. So if there's any last urgent comment, we'll hear it. Otherwise, we're going to say thank you very much, and we're going to see you again at the community update next month, March 19th. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a great day.
Great job, everyone. Thank you for your partnership.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Chuck.
Good luck.